Hey VIP crafters, happy May. We are making some beautiful decorative trays this month and I'm excited to see what you guys are going to make. But let's get to the tutorial. So the first thing I want to show you guys how to do, if you don't already know how, if you haven't already downloaded your files, this is just a quick how-to, and every month it's going to be exactly the same. So what you want to do is you want to get to the website, and if you don't have the link, what you can do is you can go to VIP Crafters Club and then hover over this VIP Crafters Club home, and you'll see a list of all the months. And the most recent month is May, which should be at the very top over here, right under the inspiration gallery. So once you click on that, you will get to this page over here, and it's just going to show you all of the cut files. You can scroll down a little bit. Here is the button that we're going to click on. I'm going to scroll down a little bit more just so that you guys can see. This is where the tutorial that you're watching right now is going to go. This is just a placeholder for now since I haven't recorded it yet. And then scroll down a little bit more to see the details for the crafting party. And then we've also got our materials list here, so you can gather all of your materials before you start building. And there's a few different variations of the trays, so you can kind of decide which one you want to do first, decide if you're going to need the drawer pulls or not, or if you're going to make, you know, something with a wood tray that already has handles. So there's different kinds of variations of the trays that you can do. Now, if you're making this coffee tray, this is actually a palette board from Chalk Couture, which I just turned over, which is super convenient. And if you are looking for that, that's this one right here, this palette sign right here. So just going to scroll back up to the top of the page, and just below the first section here, we've got this big giant green button. It says Visit the May Cut Files download page. So we're going to click there. And this is where we're going to be able to get the files that we need, plus our other fun files. So we'll get to this page right over here, and it should say free, and there should be an add to cart button. But if you want to just take a quick peek at some of the files, you can actually click on these thumbnails right here and see what the files are that are going to be inside. Really cute Mother's Day file there that I like so much. So you get to this page, click on add to cart, and then here we go, we're in our cart, and you can see that the files are right here. And the reason I do it like this is so that in the future you can always go back to your downloads folder, and you can access these as well. So just scroll down, click on proceed to checkout, and you're just going to fill out your information. It should be populated there already, and then you just want to click place order, and then you'll be able to download those. Okay, so once you've got those downloaded, you will download this file. It'll be a zip file, May 2019 cut files. What you can do is you can right click and just either extract or open with archive utility if you're on a Mac. Okay, so this is what's going to come out of that once you extract it. And when you open it, you can see that we've got this very top folder here, says underscore project. Now these are the files that are kind of recommended to use. So we've got the coffee. I'll just show you preview. There's the coffee file. We've got the enjoy. We've got a couple of home sweet home variations. And then, so those are the ones that are recommended, but there are also some other ones that would also be cute, like this farmhouse design down here. This would be really cute too. You could do either one of these if you've got kind of a longer tray. That's another one. The Bless This Home, that one would be really cute. So a couple different options for you guys to choose from. The ones in the project would all work really well for you guys. So I'm going to show you guys how to open the files with Cricut Design Space, and then after that I am going to show you how to open it up with Silhouette Studio as well. Okay, so here we are in Cricut Design Space, and what we're going to do is we are going to click on New Project, this plus sign right over here, and then we've got our blank canvas, and what we want to do is we want to click on this upload button right here on the left side. And then what we can do from here, you can see your recently uploaded images are located right here, but I'm going to show you, you just want to click on upload image, and then you want to click browse. And then what you want to do is you want to locate those files from here. So we've got our underscore project, and then if you want to do the coffee, you can choose the coffee SVG. If you want to do the enjoy, you do the enjoy SVG. So whichever one, you just want to locate the .svg file there. So let's go ahead and open, I like the enjoy SVG, and then you just click open. Okay, looks good. I'm just going to hit save. And then I've got it here in the recently uploaded images. So what you want to do is you want to click on it. It's going to get that green outline there. And then you're going to be able to click insert images. So what that's doing is that's taking this file, it's inserting it right onto your canvas there. Now as it stands, this is about 11 inches wide. So you want to just either click and drag to kind of determine how large you want it, or you can also go right up here where it says size, and you can adjust the size manually exactly how you want it. Now it is going to stay proportionate unless you unlock it right over here. If you wanted to change it, although I wouldn't recommend doing that. I usually like to keep everything proportionate. And then the one other thing that you want to do is you want to make sure that you attach these files together, because if you don't attach them, then it's going to cut out all these pieces separately like this, and you don't want that. Let me show you what you don't want. This is what you don't want. Okay, it's going to separate all those pieces, and you don't want that. You want them to all be one piece. So we're going to click attach right here, that little paper clip. And now when you click make it, they're all together, and that will allow you to make a nice stencil. Okay, so it's the size that I wanted. It's all together. You can adjust this a little bit if you need to, depending on how your vinyl is arranged on your cutting mat. So you just want to make sure that when you're placing your either your 651 vinyl or your Oramask 813 stencil vinyl or your contact paper. I like to use Oramask 813 stencil. That's that blue stencil vinyl. And what you want to do is you just want to cut a piece that's about this size and stick it right there. Or you can cut a little bit bigger and then cut it down to size later. Okay, and then you want to click continue. We don't need to do any mirroring or anything like that. So we just click continue, and then you're going to want to connect your machine. And once you connect your machine, you're going to select the size on the dial. Now, if you have a Cricut Maker, you'll need to select the size in your Cricut Design Space. But on your machine, there's a dial, and you would just choose the vinyl option, or I like to choose just one above vinyl. Okay, now here I am. I've got Silhouette Studio. I've got the Designer Edition open, and what I need to do is I want to get my files onto my cutting mat and getting it set up to cut. So I'm going to go up here in the upper left hand corner, and you just want to click on this little folder that looks like it's halfway open. Click on that. That's going to get your files, and you want to locate your May 2019 cut files, and then your underscore project folder, and then you can choose whichever design you want. Let's do the enjoy, and we're going to choose the SVG design if you've got the Designer Edition or above. If you've got the free version of the software, which is Silhouette Studio, you'll want to choose the .dxf file type. So I'm going to click SVG, click OK, and that is pulled up my design right over here. Now what I can do is I can resize this by hovering over the corner. You'll see these little two arrows, and you can actually resize it to whatever size you'd like. Or the other way that you can do that is, you should see Okay, if your window is too small, you might need to enlarge it, but there's a width and a height, and you can and you can put whatever size you want. Maybe you want it to be, 9 inches wide. Okay, and then it's going to adjust that. See, it's made it 9 inches wide. So whatever width you want, or width and height you want to go ahead and make those adjustments. And then what you want to do, you just want to set up the page size and just make sure that you could just set it to automatic. That's fine. Make sure that you've got your cutting mat correct. I've got a 12 by 12 here. So that's what I want to use. And then once you are all ready to have this sent to your machine, you want to go to the upper right hand corner and click send. And so you can see that my design is all outlined in red, which is perfect because that means it's going to cut all of those lines out there. And then what you want to do is you want to set your material. And since we're going to be using Oramask stencil vinyl, the setting that you're going to choose is going to be, you can just do vinyl, Silhouette, or a Cal 651 because they're about the same thickness, and so this should work just fine for you. So you just click that, and if not, you can always make some fine-tune adjustments right over here, and then as long as your silhouette is connected, you'll see a big blue button right here, and then you can go ahead and have that sent to your machine. All right, let's get to our project. So the first of the 3 variations of the projects is this cute little coffee tray. Now for this project, I used this Choc Couture palette sign, and I'll show it to you close up in just a second. But I've got my 813 stencil vinyl. It's been cut out, and what I'm doing is I'm just removing just the insides. So, because what we're doing is we're essentially creating a stencil that we're going to stick on our board. We're going to paint over it. So once that's been weeded, what you want to do is you want to get some transfer tape, and you want to just apply it over. It wasn't big enough, so I just kind of overlapped it. And then here is the palette board that I wanted to show you. So this is what it looks like on the front. It's meant to be displayed this way, so you can see it's a palette sign, and it's listed on the materials page. And so what I did was I flipped it over, and I'm actually using the back side, and I thought that would be really cute for a tray. So I got my design, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to just flip it over here and peel away the backing. Now once that's completely removed, you want to try to center it, although I didn't do the best job of centering it here. But that's okay. I still think it turned out really cute. And so you want to place it down. See, I noticed that it wasn't centered, and I started to pull it up, but once it's down, you guys. So, all right, so I peeled everything away, peeled away this transfer tape, and then I got some Mod Podge, some clear Mod Podge, and you can see that I'm now applying the chalk paint. You want to do thin layers of everything. Do a thin layer of the Mod Podge and a thin layer of the chalk paint. And once both of those are dry, you want to peel that away. Now I've got my handles. Now I found these cute little, or drawer pulls rather. I found these cute little drawer pulls at Lowe's. And then I also got these soft touch bumpers, and you could apply those to the bottoms if you want. So the drawer pulls, I'm actually going to glue them on. You are more than welcome, if you are handy, you are more than welcome to screw them in. And that's another great reason to use bumpers, just to prevent the screw heads on the bottom from scratching up the table. Okay, so what I used is this adhesive called E6000. This is an industrial strength adhesive, and it does take about 24 hours to cure, but it is ridiculously strong. So this is why I chose this adhesive, and you just need to make sure that you just don't touch it for like 24 hours, and then it will cure and it is good to go. Okay, so next we are making this cute Home Sweet Home round decorative tray, and I got these round they're actually chargers in the Target dollar section. They're only $3, but I thought this would be perfect for a tray because they're already painted and finished. But you can use any kind of wood round is totally fine. And so what I've done is I've actually just lightly sanded the surface. You could paint the surface and then sand it, or sand it first, then paint, then sand it again. But just a light light sanding is just fine. And so we've got the Home Sweet Home design cut out on the 813 stencil vinyl, and then I've also got my transfer tape, which I've applied to the top. And you just want to make sure that you get the design really well adhered. I use my burnishing tool and I just really scrape it really well, just to make sure that when I'm pulling the backing off, just like this, that it comes off fairly easily. And I like to turn it over and just kind of pull the backing away, and then that way if anything pulls up, I could just kind of push it just right back down, just like that. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to just eyeball it and place it wherever you'd like to place it, and then you want to push it down. I start by just kind of using my fingers, push it down, make sure that I get any air bubbles, and then you can just pull away the transfer tape. Okay, so next I've got my matte Mod Podge, and I'm going to be, once I can get it open, I am going to just apply a really super thin layer onto this. And again, you want to make sure that it's thin because you don't want any like goopy areas. And the reason that we apply Mod Podge is to kind of create a seal between our stencil and our surface. And it just helps to prevent bleeding so that when we are putting our paint, the paint doesn't bleed through. And just to help kind of speed things up, I like to have a hair dryer handy, and that just kind of moves things along. Next, I've got my chalk paint. This is Waverly brand, which can be found at Walmart. And then you just want to paint a thin coat of paint over the top. And you want to make sure it's thin because that just helps it to dry faster, helps it to be more even. It's better to do one or a couple coats if you need to, rather than doing a thick coat. So I just get in there, try to keep it really thin, kind of do like a dabbing motion. You could see on the left there I did some gold. I actually ended up not liking it very much, and then I replaced it with green. But once that's dry, you can go ahead and peel. See, you can see the gold barely shows up there. So I went in later with another brush and I just kind of manually did it with the green. But yeah, you can peel away all of the excess of the stencil. Once it completely dries, I take a Mod Podge acrylic spray sealer and I spray the entire thing twice, and then I let it dry completely. Then next I get the E6000, which is this industrial strength adhesive, and I'm applying it to my drawer pulls. And then in addition to that, I'm also adding some hot glue. This was another way. I don't think it's really necessary. It just kind of helps it to stick, in the meantime while it's drying. I would probably, if I were to do this again, I would probably just skip the hot glue and just stick with the E6000, as long as you can put it someplace where you can just let it cure completely for 24 hours. So, I tried this. I've seen this tip in other places and it sort of works, but it was unnecessarily like way too much glue that, kind of oozed out the bottom, and I really didn't need to be doing that. But it glued down really well. It was really solid, and I thought it looked really nice. Okay, so we are ready for the third and final variation of the examples that I've created. Now for this example, we are going to be using the baby wipe staining method. Now we're not actually using stain, we're using chalk paint, but it just comes out looking like a stain. So I've got my tray, my wood tray that I've gotten from the craft section at Target. I've got my rubber gloves and I've got some baby wipes. And then the other thing that I have that you don't see, I've got my chalk paint, and then I also have a bottle of water handy that I'm going to be spraying on this. So the first thing I'm doing is I just put some of the paint. I'm using a brown paint, and I'm just putting a little bit of it on my baby wipes. Now the one thing I forgot to do right away was I needed the water. I needed to be spraying the water, but that's okay because I fix it later. So I start rubbing it down and then I realize, oh, this is like way too thick. I don't need it to be quite this thick. So you're gonna see here in just a second, I get my water bottle, my little spray bottle, and I start spraying it. And once I spray it, what it does is it like thins up the chalk paint, and it really makes it look like a wood stain. And it's really fast, it's really easy. So here we go. So I've got my spray bottle, I'm spraying it. I'm like, what's wrong? Okay, now it works because it's actually moving the paint along. And it really does start to look like a wood stained look, but it's super easy to do. It's a little bit messy, so you really want to make sure that you got gloves, but the reason for the baby wipes is because they're just a lot more durable than like a paper towel would be. And that little tiny glob of paint that I put at the beginning, that's really all you need. And it goes a long way. And the baby wipes also go a long way as well because you can just keep, like here, I'm trying to get in the corners. There are some like crevices that you can't really get to. And what I did was I just squeezed some water in there, and then the pigment from the chalk paint comes out. And it really does look like wood stain, which is really cool. And it dries really quickly because it's chalk paint. And so this was a super cool and easy technique. And despite me messing up in the beginning, it still looks pretty awesome. Okay, so now I've got my extra fine sanding sponges, and once that's completely dry, I just go in and I lightly sand the surface. And then I also have my design, which has been cut out on Oramask 813 stencil vinyl, and I'm just removing the insides of the design because again, I want to make this just like all the other examples. I want to make this into a stencil, which I can then paint. So I've got my my transfer tape or my transfer paper, and just applying that to the design, and just to make sure that everything gets down on, just is really nice and stuck down. I just like to burnish that, give that an extra burnishing. And then I'm just sort of eyeballing where I want this to go. I'm gonna peel away the backing, and then I'm going to apply this to my tray. And once I've got it exactly where I want it, I'm just gonna burnish it a little bit more, remove the transfer tape, and there we go. And I'm also adding just a tiny bit of that transfer tape. I didn't have my painter's tape handy at the moment, but I just used some of the leftover transfer tape and just put those in the areas that I was worried that I would get some of my paint. I didn't want to get any paint. So I've got my Mod Podge. It's a clear Mod Podge. It's just the matte, and I'm just applying that here to my stencil, just really thin coat. Okay, and then the next thing I'm going to do is I've got my white chalk paint, and I am just applying a little bit of that over the stencil. And you want to make sure that the Mod Podge has dried once you start applying this. It doesn't take too long. And so I'm just kind of using a dabbing motion with my little sponge, just really getting in there. And because of the Mod Podge, it is not going to bleed, which is good news for us. All right, so now that it's dry, I'm just going to remove the stencil. And then after this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a glaze coat. I bought a glaze. I've actually tried a couple of different kinds of glaze. I tried this glaze coat here that I got from Lowe's. And then I also tried the Amazing Clear Cast. I tried this on a different tray. The thing that I did not like about the Amazing Clear Cast was that it actually ended up getting a little bit yellow. So the day after, and I had done a white tray, and because of the yellowing, it just looked really awful. I did not like it at all. One other thing that I wanted to point out about this is because I had used adhesive vinyl on this rather than painting it, I used this cute iridescent adhesive vinyl that I thought would just look really great. But the problem is that there were a couple of air bubbles, and they weren't even that bad, but for some reason after I poured the Amazing Clear Cast over it, it was like the Amazing Clear Cast kind of seeped under the vinyl and like really enhanced the look of those bubbles, so they looked even worse and worse, and I couldn't do anything about it. So I would really recommend just sticking with painting a stencil on rather than using the adhesive vinyl. Okay, so anytime you get like a glaze coat, both the glaze coat and the Amazing Clear Cast, they're both very similar process. You have two different chemicals that you have to mix together. You have like equal parts, and you stir each one, and then you stir them together, like very complicated instructions, like a very, very exact specific time that you have to be stirring it. Like I think for this one, it was you stir it for 6 minutes by itself, and then you add the other one, and then you stir it again for 6 minutes, something like that. Then once it's done, what you want to do is you just want to pour it inside the tray. Now, it worked to my advantage that this tray had kind of an enclosure on the sides, but the problem is that it actually leaked because it wasn't perfectly like there was a teeny tiny cracks on the edges. So if I were to do this again, I would definitely make sure to put painter's tape on the bottom just to ensure that if anything does leak a little bit, the painter's tape will kind of help to catch that. So once you pour it in, you kind of just want to tip the tray a little bit, and it's very thick. And so it moves very, very slowly, but you can also see, if you look closely, that there's kind of, well, there's my reflection, hi, and then you can also see that there's kind of these tiny little bubbles, which I'll show you how to kind of get rid of those in just a second. But you just want to just really slowly and gradually just tip it in every direction until it's completely coated along the edge. It's super messy, so you want to make sure that you're doing this in a surface where if this gets anywhere, you could just wipe it away really cleanly. So but those tiny bubbles that you can see right there, what you want to do to get rid of those once this is all completely settled, you can get like a heat gun, and you just want to kind of take the heat gun and just quickly kind of go over it, and the bubbles should evaporate. Like that, what should happen is the air kind of evaporates to the surface. And you could probably look up on YouTube the specific brand of product that you're buying, and you can kind of see any tips that they have. And then what you want to do is you want to leave this for about 24 hours, and then it will just completely harden, and it will be just a thick and durable surface. So it was, there are some pluses and some minuses definitely about this technique. But if you want something that's going to be durable and that's going to, you can actually put, if something spills on it, it's not going to get damaged or anything like that. So this is an option. Okay, so once that was completely dried, this part I did 24 hours after the last part. So this is completely dried. Now I got this twine, and what I did was I actually just measured out a long piece of twine, and then I took my glue gun and I just applied some glue to the underside of that, just a tiny little dab. And then I just wrapped this twine around just as an extra cute little touch, and just kept wrapping it all the way around. You'll see what I'm doing here, just kind of wrapping it around and creating this cute little, these twine handles, just as a cute little decorative accent. And I thought it turned out really cute. Just added a little bit of a kind of rustic decorative look to my tray. So this is an alternative for those of you who are using this kind of a tray, but I thought it turned out really nice. So that's it, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. I hope you got some new ideas, learned some new tips and tricks along the way, and I can't wait to see the projects that you guys come up with. So don't forget to post those in the group, but also I want you to go to Instagram and use the hashtag VIP Crafters Club. And then that way those can get posted into our inspiration gallery, and you'll get entered for a chance to win an Amazon gift card. So make sure that you participate in that, and I can't wait to see your creations.